Hey everyone, this is Chris, and you're listening to Counting with Chris, and today we are on the number 3. Dang it!
Did he change the name?
Clearly you were listening to One Cross Radio, and today we are rejoined by Mike and Christian. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Tired.
Yeah, I'm wiped. I know why. I went to sleep late last night and I didn't have a very good sleep. I'm peeing a lot these days.
Oh, okay.
Especially in the middle of the night. Sometimes during the day.
Weirdly, me too. I woke up like 4 times last night.
Yeah.
And also we had a very hearty and great meal from Bedrock Bistro. Not a sponsor, but I'd love for them to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have sponsorship money, but hey, who knows?
Yeah, no. Next time you guys are out, I think Christian was right. We got to record the podcast first and then go for food.
Yeah.
We're too sleepy now.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a very gray day, which doesn't help with being awake.
It's true.
Diabetes. Like, that was...
What's this about diabetes?
The diabetes? Like what?
Put me over the edge with pancakes.
Oh, the pancakes.
And now I'm diabetic. And I'm really tired.
Like I've said before, if IHOP was up here, it would not be your friend. Because
Oh.
of all the awesome pancakes
syrups.
and like 4 or 5 varieties of syrup, they're all delicious.
Oh.
I loved IHOP. You'd like it too.
Yeah.
But if the pancakes make you sleepy.
I don't like Aunt Jemima syrup.
Are you racist?
I'm against other races of syrup, yeah.
Oh, I guess you're a Mrs. Butterworth guy, eh?
No, I love Aunt Jemima. I'm an only Aunt Jemima.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't like her.
No, she's my favorite. I'm exclusive to Aunt Jemima.
I see. I misunderstood your racism.
So, dear listener, you also hear Luna around who just a moment ago was climbing up on Christian. It was quite cute. She wants to play fetch. Yeah, it's been a good day, guys. It's been fun to have you out. We had a interesting quest between Bedrock Bistro and here, where we were going to go to the park to walk around, and then we realized Mike's car was gonna die, basically.
Well, saving the planet takes some sacrifices, you know.
Well,
It's not easy.
It's an older vehicle with a small battery.
Yeah, that's fair.
So.
You take that responsibility on your shoulders, and you're sort of like a martyr, and it makes you better than most people. But it is not.
I do what I have to do to save the planet.
Yeah,
you know?
it's not the most convenient all the time.
Not all the time. Most of the time, it's fine. But sometimes things get dicey, and you do what you got to do to save the planet.
And we gotta drive around to various spots to find like the appropriate charger.
Yeah, we go to a Hyundai dealership. Oh, are you bringing your car in for service? No, I just want to plug in your thing. It's going to cost you like 20 cents, so shut up.
Yeah, that guy. Let me tell you a few things about that guy.
Like, realistically, the amount of energy...
attack a random person we met for 20, not even 20 seconds.
Dude, what was his name? Because she said his name. I'd like to...
She was probably like Dale or something.
Yeah, Dale at
Dean.
Hyundai, if you're listening.
Gosh.
Yeah, like, the amount of energy, electricity, whatever, that we just got when we finally did plug in, like, it would have cost him, like... 11 cents.
Yeah, I should have thrown him a quarter and be like, keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah. Don't buy a Hyundai. Especially not from Hamilton Hyundai or whatever his name was.
Yeah,
Whatever the shop's name was.
Over on Parkdale.
Yeah, Parkdale. Don't ever shop there. They will not help you. They have free coffee, but there's no one around to sell you a car or give you any assistance.
I'm like, he's already a car salesman. Like, do something good for someone in your life for once, you know? Selling cars, a little karma.
You walk in there and usually they would hear the bell or they hear you talking or whatever, and they would turn and say, "Can I help you?" No. Not a word. I had to approach the man and didn't even turn around. He took a couple seconds, then he turned around and I asked him a simple question. Oh, I don't know.
We had a terrible customer service experience.
Yes, don't ever shop at the Hyundai dealership on Parkdale in Hamilton.
Just sitting here being terrible at my job.
Yeah.
Leave me be.
I have to write an email on my enormous monitor.
But then we had some fun times while charging your car at, well, the spot.
What's it called? The
At
Center?
Central Mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, right by...
Shop there. It's a good place. Even though they charge for their electricity, it's a lower rate than any other place, really.
And it was at between CIBC and Golden Griddle, which is also a decent breakfast spot.
Sunset.
Sunset Griddle, which Also, a pretty decent
Yeah, I've
breakfast
had some
spot.
really good French toast there, I think.
Yeah, I like the food, just not as much as I like Bedrock. But Sunset used to, at one point, serve Kool-Aid. Like, as a drink you could order. I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
You could get so many different flavors. So
Yeah.
every time I went, I'd get like a different flavor.
Oh, that's cool.
I know, right? Like,
Do people still drink Kool-Aid?
yeah,
I don't. I haven't had Kool-Aid in
I haven't
forever.
had Kool-Aid in like 20 years.
it's really easy to get.
I know.
I'm sure it is.
It's just, but it is one of those things where you're like, I'm not a kid anymore. I shouldn't drink this, and now you're like, man, I want some Kool-Aid.
Extremely unhealthy. But I mean, I still drink Coke, so
Yeah.
You know what I like? Tang. I love Tang.
delicious.
Oh yes, the Wu-Tang Clan.
They're, one of the guys I work with, he has a Wu-Tang symbol as his desktop background.
That's
and
cool.
somebody walked by and said, oh, why do you have the Batman symbol?
One of the first things I noticed when I moved to Hamilton is there's a large Wu-Tang Clan fan base here.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, no, just Wu-Tang shirts everywhere.
Yeah.
On the symbols on everything. I'm like, it's not even like it's Wu-wear or anything.
No.
It's just, I don't understand.
Just a bunch of really classy people wearing Wu-Tang.
Oh, yeah. Classy is the name of the game.
Oh boy.
How many Wu-Tang shirts do you have, man? You don't have any Wu-Tang
No,
shirts.
I don't own any
Exactly.
Wu-Tang
You
shirts.
Why
don't
not?
own
You're
any Wu-Tang.
such a Wu-Tanger.
Because he's classy. Because he
self-respect.
does it. Yeah, he has self-respect.
I enjoy some of their songs.
Well, I mean, you can like the songs. It's fine. Just, you know, you're grown up man and walk around in a Wu-Tang t-shirt. No.
If you're in the group, it makes sense.
That's even worse because then that's hubris.
That's like the guy I work with that walked into work with an NWO shirt on. Yeah.
Are they still a thing?
NWO?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh.
No.
But Scott Hall's doing well.
Yeah, no, he's
Which
he's
is good to
healthy
hear.
now.
It's good to hear him
Yeah.
come back from things.
He got clean. Well, for the longest time, everybody thought he would die.
Oh, yeah.
Today's random wrestling corner is this.
Is this? Yeah.
Whereas a couple weeks ago when I had Hector on, you might not know this. I just got to stop assuming people know this. Macho Man Randy Savage released a rap album.
Yeah, I think I know that. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's terrible.
Wow.
I thought you were going to say another Macho Man fact that we can't mention on your podcast.
Oh, no.
No.
I don't know what it is. I'll ask you later.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, what was it? I want to know.
After.
Sounds
It's
salacious.
supposedly the reason why Vince McMahon did
Oh,
not like him.
yeah, no.
You know what I'm talking about.
That's been refuted numerous
Yeah, I'm
times.
sure it's not true. It's
Yeah.
just a rumor.
Just one of those persistent rumors. All right, so 8 minutes in, we're getting to the main topic of the question.
Oh, Luna just punched me in the face.
Luna is wrestling Mike.
She sucker punched me.
Like me too?
She's climbing over Mike to get to Christian. This is amazing.
I should get a back scratch while she's at it. Lucky girl.
Ow!
Oh, throat punch. She gave me a throat punch.
She's watched Rambo Last Blood.
That was kind of mean, man.
Now come here. Stop climbing. So today's question was kind of inspired by a recent episode of Hot Takes with Billy Business, where they were talking about Superman Returns, which to me is it is an underrated movie, but it's almost like whenever you have to talk about a movie or a show or sometimes music or whatever that has had involvement from people who have done allegedly and quite probably true terrible things, you almost have to put a disclaimer in it. So off the front with Superman Returns, they were like, all right, now up front we have to talk about, like, we're not trying to comment on Kevin Spacey or Bryan Singer like as people. We're not saying they're good people, like they've allegedly done terrible things. We're just focusing on the work here. So it kind of led to today's question, and it's something we've loosely talked about before. But can you enjoy the work of someone who has done something terrible? And we could even add the caveat of even like not even allegedly, because a lot of the stuff is allegedly, as likely as it is true, until it's like proven in court.
There may be a solid case that hasn't been 100% proven, but the evidence is overwhelming.
Exactly. The evidence is overwhelming. Can you still enjoy someone's art and separate it from the person? Or in all that, where's the line? Where do you draw that line?
I would say yes, you can still enjoy it because I know I have still enjoyed it. The first thing that came to mind when you were asking that is people were saying or asking that about Michael Jackson a few months ago after the documentary came out.
Yeah.
Like radio stations were questioning, can we still play his music? And I think the answer was an emphatic yes, because it's awesome. Great music.
Yeah.
Right?
There's no way. Like, I'm not going to listen to R. Kelly anymore, but I'm 100% still going to listen to Michael
I can't
Jackson.
not play Thriller, guys.
Well, that's what Dave Chappelle said on his new special. You addressed that. What were you going to say?
I think it really comes down to, for me, if I already like the work. Usually I excuse the bad behavior. Well, not excuse the behavior, but I overlook the behavior in appreciation of the work. Like, I don't really care for R. Kelly, so boycott his music. But like Michael Jackson, I'm fine. I'll still listen to his music.
See, that's weird for me because if I were to, if I describe Mike to like people, like other people, I would say that is the first defining characteristic that I would describe is his love of R. Kelly. And R. Kelly.
Mike believed he could fly.
I really did believe I could fly. I thought about it every night and day.
Just kind of spread my wings and fly
away, you would say.
Even within that, though, like as we're talking about R. Kelly being terrible, I'm like, I can't deny I Believe I Can Fly is a friggin' outstanding song.
I mean, it's okay. Like, it's not, there's like 80,000 other
It's okay to
songs.
be wrong, Christian.
I mean, I'm fine being wrong about things that, like, I'm wrong about. This is just an objective fact.
Let's just agree to
The
this.
songs are not that great. Like, it's okay.
There are a lot over the years, like even long after somebody has died, where facts come out saying, "Oh, by today's standards, they weren't such a good person."
Yeah.
It doesn't detract from their well, it could detract from their legacy, but it usually doesn't. Sometimes it's more like a footnote.
Right.
But,
what? Look at Brando.
Oh.
Whoa. Oh, just a bunch of of sexual things, impropriety.
Yeah.
Well, even like you could
knock over the water.
You could look at the example of. Sorry, Luna's being incredibly forceful. Like Christian, look at the ball.
She's overpowering Christian, which isn't very different.
What's ever?
Well,
I'm
it's
being
like
gentle on purpose.
Even well, like Gene Roddenberry. Like a lot of accusations have come out about him.
Oh yeah.
After the fact.
Yeah, he sucked.
And then it's like, as we're living in a day and age of like cancel culture and all that, it's like some people are ready to jump on like we got to throw everything out. It's like, do you know how many people worked
on Star Trek?
On Star Trek, like that weren't Roddenberry.
Let's take it. It's ours. Let's take it away from him.
Right. Or also like what he made. Like I don't think you see any of the terrible things he. And I'll again say allegedly. Like,
yeah, the art itself doesn't support that behavior.
Right.
Yeah, or excuse it. I want to say I was watching This Is Not Happening last night, and it's a show where a bunch of comedians come on and they tell stories about stuff where that would kind of make you say, like, if you were in the story or in the moment, you would be like, oh, this is not happening, right? So there's this one story with T.J. Miller. And
boy.
Yeah, I've heard about his stuff. But apparently he did have something wrong with his brain. Like he was bleeding in his brain, which for like 6 months he was acting like insane, erratically. And he's like, he actually sort of infers or implies that that's why he did the Yogi Bear movie. But then he was like, $100 million internationally. Like, I guess it was a good decision, right? But yeah, no, Monica was like, wait, isn't didn't he do something messed up? And I was like, who cares? Let's just watch it. Like, just don't. She's like, no. And then she looks it up and finds like everything he's done, which is admittedly like a decent amount of things.
Right.
And I was like, so do you really care? She's like, nah. And I was like, yeah, let's just watch it. And it was funny. Like, he was funny. I don't know, man. Like, it's weird. It's like just the fact that I know I'm supposed to care kind of makes you not want to.
Well,
don't tell me how to be outraged.
I don't like people. I so don't like being told to do. I will take on the opposite position just for the sake of doing.
Well, I think you can make the argument with this. It does touch on the wider topic.
Yeah.
Heck, when like not on the podcast, but when you and I have talked politics, and we're like, we're not in a day of nuance where there's conversation, where it's almost like, if you don't think this, you must be this, where it's like, if all I'm hearing is that, it's almost like the instinctual rebellion kicks in, where it's like, don't tell me how to feel.
Well, yeah.
Like, don't tell me how to react.
Yeah, and everybody, like, you do have that initial reaction of, like, wanting to play the devil's advocate, right? Because if someone's telling you something, and they're coming, like, the first time you're hearing it is them telling you you're wrong for doing something. It's just sort of like you're going to naturally try and defend it or yourself in some way, right? And so I guess that's not a good strategy when confronting people. Alright. What was I going to say? I was going to say something about that.
About things.
Yeah. It's like T.J. Miller, and then what did you say?
Like I guess an example could be, like for me, Superman Returns is a great example. Like I dig the movie; it's flawed, but I still really enjoy it. But then Kevin Spacey has done allegedly and quite probably terrible things. But at the same point, I'm like, that's not in his Lex Luthor. That's not in his performance, and I freaking love that Lex performance.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more, like, okay, like, I think a lot of these conversations where a lot of these things come down to, like, is this a moral argument, or are we just talking about, like, objectivity? Because, like, if you were to ask me, like, okay, so should someone not support that endeavor because the person who started it is, then I guess, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm not gonna blame, and I think that's probably right. But would I blame someone for not caring? No. Right.
Like, I guess that's where eventually maybe they'll actually include it with shows, movies, or whatever that someone can make a profit off of. Like, I have no idea how you enforce it, but like borderline morality clauses in the contract. Oh boy, she found the squeak. Because I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who played Cosby's son on the Cosby Show.
Malcolm Jamal Warner?
Yeah, he had brought up, because as all the stuff about Cosby was coming out and networks were pulling the shows, pulling the DVD sales, he's like, I understand entirely, but at the same point, like, this is having a huge effect on the rest of the cast, who did not have, like, the body of work and the income and everything that, like, Bill did. Where it's like, you've got a good 5-6 other people who are now, like, losing, who don't have work, who are constantly losing, like, what may be their main source of income. And since I heard that, that's kind of made me, like, think around that, where it's like, okay, yeah, where do you do that? Like, how do you find the line with that, where it's like, okay, none of this goes towards Bill, none of this goes to, like, he's seeing none of this. Heck, the portion of money that would go towards Bill is now going towards a charity against what he did or something.
Yeah, but I mean, they should just be mad at Bill.
Well, I think they were, of course, naturally, but at the same point, like, if it's I get almost that sentiment where it's like, that's your main, like, that's your livelihood that someone else has taken away. Yeah. Is that fair?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a marketplace, right? So if they were all that great, they'd be getting money from other things that they did, right? But if all they did was the Cosby Show, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, clearly someone did you a favor, and you were riding on that, that wave for like 2 decades, and it's I don't know, but man,
I don't think that's how TV necessarily works, but
I mean, if the show's in syndication, then they find out that he's like the world's most prolific serial rapist.
Luna, get the ball,
and they cancel it, and it's his fault. It's not the network's fault. It's their fault for not doing more work. Bootstraps and such.
Well, they also could have. They also totally did do other work, just not in.
Well, then they're fine.
Like the rare success of something like a Cosby Show, because the Cosby Show is an exception. Yeah, it's not the rule.
Well, yeah, what was that? What was the guy? What's her name's husband? On the show. The guy. Not Theodore. That was his son, right? Yeah. What was the guy? The husband. What's her name's husband? Luna, you were not a guest on this podcast.
Luna's a perpetual guest.
Okay, here. Psych. Alright, so,
oh my gosh.
Anyway, that guy, he didn't really do any work after that. Really, right.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't care about them. I think that's my thing. Screw Cosby, and if they're one of my, if they're like, oh, you know, like I'm not making as much money as I was. It's like, dude, you know how much money I'm making? I don't care. Go act some more. Act like someone who can earn a living. Damn it.
Oh my gosh.
So that's my take on it.
Very unsympathetic.
And well, if someone's doing better than me, then I have no sympathy.
The bitterness just.
But I was watching.
You're just still writing Mel Gibson letters like, I'm better than you, Mel.
I was watching Theo Vaughn, and he was like, when you admire someone, admiring someone is like when they're better than you, but you still like them. It's like, yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember what comedian it was, but a comedian was like, when we see someone else do better, we become instantly jealous and hate any success that they have that's not ours.
Yeah.
We're very fickle people.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same way. I mean, don't talk to me about it. I don't care. If you want to share it with me, then you can broach the subject.
Okay.
In which case, keep it to yourself. You know how well I'm doing. You're doing better. Shut up. I don't care. Unless you got a job opportunity for me, we'll talk.
Mike, do you have any other thoughts?
You know, the other thing that came to mind is online, I guess specifically Reddit, there is a, I don't know how to describe it, a large number of people that whenever John Lennon is brought up, oh, well, he was a wife beater and he abandoned his child, blah, 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 blah. Like, shut up. Like, you know how much happiness he has brought to millions of people?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Well, like, and I guess that's the thing where right now everybody's. I'm not trying to dump on the woke thing, but I guess everybody's trying to be so woke and we're so wrapped up in cancel culture. It's like anytime anybody's done anything objectionable, we're just ready to like split on that person. It's like, nah, we're all human beings. We all categorically suck. Like,
We all do bad things.
we've all done terrible things at some point in our lives. Granted, some much more terrible than others.
Much worse, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like altruism is like as a concept, right? And I think a lot of people react to things like that, where it's like, you know, there's people who are sincere, and then there's people who are 100% doing it because they're narcissists or they're self-absorbed and they get some sort of self-gratification out of that, right? Where it's like, I'm now elevated because I know this or I feel this. Or,
Right.
so, I mean, of course you're going to get people like that, but then you are going to get people who are sincere and they're just like, well, I mean, you know, they're not going to go crazy, like crazy SJW or whatever, but, you know, I feel like I'm sort of there, like I'm woke-ish. Yeah, man. I think she's finally she's like starting to give up. Before she's like really quickly going from side to side, and now she's like slowly like...
Yeah.
You know what I found super interesting? When you go to the VIP theaters, they play pot ads in front of the movies. And the first time I saw them, like, what?
Wait, like what kind of pot ads?
Like for Tokyo Smoke and things like that. Like
Oh, wow.
like that. Yeah.
And not like 2 years ago it would be like the anti-getting...
Yeah, it would be
using
like,
pot.
don't do drugs.
Yeah,
But
basically.
no, they're like...
Now buy our drugs.
Well, the latest one they have is they have like a grow farm, like a indoor grow op, whatever you want to call it, and the guy's just like telling about they're talking about the operation. Like, okay. But when I first saw the ad, it was presented like, come see our new lineup of pot. Like what? Is this for real? Am I really seeing an ad for marijuana?
It's not Reefer Madness still?
Oh, that movie.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No, I'd like to.
At one point, that I still distinctly remember in it, at one point, someone was like, it's not like an okay drug like cocaine. No, this will really make you crazy. You're like, hold the phone.
Hold on a second.
What?
Yeah, it's funny because like after they went crazy over like after Reefer Madness, you know, there was still cocaine and heroin and products and stuff like that.
And then they realized like, oh dang,
Yeah.
we really undersold this.
She
And
wants
there's-
this.
Oh yeah, no, it's She wants the toy, man.
Yeah, she wants a toy, man. It's like I didn't know. Like you were just like, hey, dude, I'm glad you're finally receptive to this, but she wants the toy.
No, I was just trying to stop a dirtying of that joke. It's bound to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I just.
What else you got?
I don't know. That was the main question. Circling back to that.
That's it. That's the
geez.
entire.
Well, most of the time we don't have a question. We just go.
Yeah.
We freestyle.
I like random situation. Luna, hey, Luna. This is why I didn't give it to you.
She doesn't care.
She doesn't care.
She has
Your
what she
dog,
wants.
no squeak. Go play with something that doesn't squeak. Find one of the non-squeaks.
All right. So you were saying you like more what, situational or?
What? Yeah, no. You know, just something to make absurd comments about. Really shine.
Absurd comments.
It's really our arena.
Absurd comments that you then later are like, hey, I think I went a little too absurd.
No. See, I was saying to Mike, I was like, when it comes to stuff I really care about, like politics or something like that, I start getting very hyperbolic, and it's difficult to control. I don't like it.
That's why at times we like prep work.
Yeah, prep work is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, if we're going to talk about serious things, yes, I'd prefer to know beforehand.
Yeah.
This
is like that floating line of somewhat serious.
Okay.
Okay, what have I got?
What have I got? Dude, okay.
Oh, this week? You can't deal with it?
I can't deal with it, man. No, you gotta, I'm just going to get it. I'm going to see if I can replace it. She knows I'm doing it. Right?
But she sees you going for the ball.
What?
Get the ball.
Hide it in the bathroom. Oh, she's on she's on you. No.
You have no experience tricking dogs.
No, I don't. I've never run with a dog. Alright. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I got it. I got this.
All right, we also got to have something else.
This podcast is going nowhere.
I know. I really wish we saved our Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I know. Well, she's on you, Chris.
Our rant.
Oh my god, there's nothing in my hands anymore.
I really wish we saved the rant.
Yeah.
What rant? Star Wars Harbor movies.
The rant.
Fallen Kingdom.
The Fallen Kingdom rant about how it's like the dumbest.
You're the one who sat close to me.
The dumbest.
Fat bows.
The Fat Bows?
Fat bows.
Dumbest Jurassic Park movie ever.
Oh, Jurassic. I don't you know what? I think we should start a Kickstarter for me so that I can purchase all of the Ghostbusters comics. I want to read them. I really want to read them. So if anyone's listening and they want me to be able to read the comics, just send money
legally and for free
to Chris.
Wait, what?
And then he'll send it to me.
I didn't agree to that. I'd love some money in it.
They're probably on the...
I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
I barely go on Facebook these days.
The library has digital comics. You can get them for free, so we probably have them there.
I am selfish, and I would genuinely like to take advantage of people's generosity. So.
Just walk up the street to Pay Danforth from your place and get a card.
But no, I want a curd. I want,
curd.
I want the actual books. I want like the collection.
Oh, so you want to own them, not just borrow them from the library?
Yeah.
Read them online.
Yeah, like an idiot.
Why are you so needy?
Needy? What are you talking about?
Poor Monica.
What did I? Where is this coming from? How am I needy?
You're so needy.
I don't understand.
You want everything to be yours.
Yes, I want the comics to be mine.
I get that.
What else do I want to be mine?
I've never met such a selfish needy person.
Okay, well, selfish, yes. Needy, no. I'm not needy. I'm 100% selfish. I will admit that.
I will openly admit that.
Yeah. Are you serious? What did I do? I didn't do that.
I'm just fooling around with you. Come on.
Okay. So that might be true, and I might not be aware of it, so I want to know if it is.
I don't think you're needy.
If we're talking about possessions, you should come over to my place. I can't even walk in my living room anymore without tripping over stuff. Boxes everywhere.
And I totally get where you're coming from. Like I'll read comics like digital copies and everything, but then at points I'm like, no, I really like that run. I want the whole run.
Yeah.
But then at certain points you're like, man, that run's hella long. Like Ultimate Spider-Man, like the first run was 131 issues.
Nice.
Each trade paperback is probably 5 to 6 issues, so I can't math, but just that would be a lot of trade paperbacks.
Yeah. Isn't there a compendium?
There is, but it's I used to buy comics. I always try to go for the trades, but I used to not care where be like, oh, here's a hardcover, or here's the trade paperback. But now it's like just the collector in me gets annoyed at the size and difference. Where it's like you've got one, it's like 4 and 6 are trade paperback, but 5 is a hardcover or something like that, and it's just like, oh, it looks awful. I just want the smooth looking on everything.
Yeah, man, I want to get like the most issues you can get into one book and just get those books, right?
You should look for the omnibuses then.
Omnibuses, yeah. Omnibus?
Omnibus.
I call them
omnibus.
omnibus.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. Like,
yeah.
I always assumed it was omnibus, but it might be omnibus.
That's his new nickname, Omnibus.
Oh, that's big sexy, man.
Yeah, it's sexy. And I'm what? Dump truck?
Y'all gotta start podcasts. Dump truck and the big sexy.
The
big sexy. You like
you sound like
the
the shock jock radio people. Crazy Ira and the no.
Oh, you can't say it? Oh.
No, I just don't want to.
Oh, okay. And the Duke.
What was the one on Family Guy? Wiener on the Butt or something? No, it was
what?
It was Brian and Stewie. It was
Wiener.
He was. I don't remember. Anyway, it was a play on of a dog nickname.
You know what? I'll give Family Guy credit for one joke because I don't really like that show anymore.
Okay,
but. It was something I just saw a random clip from where Brian and Stewie were flying somewhere, I think, and they were going to climb Mount Everest. Yeah. And then Brian just gets really focused on it's like, we're going to go to the top, and then they're going to pee on it, because if I pee on it, then it's mine. And I'm like, they just made a great joke about the fact that this character, who they always try to make super intellectual, is a dog.
He's still a dog.
Like, they just make the he's still a dog jokes.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that.
I like the he's still a dog jokes because he'll be saying something articulate and then they'll be like, "Bob, you want to go for a drive?"
Yeah, I like when Brian becomes a dog.
That's not gonna
He does dog things. I really like it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Ugh.
That show is absurd. You guys check out that show, The Boys?
Yeah, I've been watching that.
I've heard really good things. I just haven't watched it yet.
So I'm watching this show, right? And Chris, I'm gonna ruin it for you. So
that's okay.
Trust me, it is okay. So
wait, you don't like it?
No, I mean, okay. So I'm watching it, right? And then it's like right in the beginning where he's walking with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was okay. Okay. So I'm watching it, and I'm like. Okay, but they're not like they don't really have good chemistry. Like, are they supposed to carry this? What kind of show is this? What's going on?
Really matters.
Yeah, no, none of it really ends up mattering because like at one point, like she steps off the curb and they kiss, and like mid kiss, she just gets like she's gone.
Right.
And it goes in slow mo, and you see his face. It's like, and you see like blood like landing on his face, and then like as the camera's turning, you just see like bones and viscera and everything.
Wow.
Just a huge thing of blood like in the just suspended. And then when like everything cuts back to normal speed, it's this guy who's basically the Flash, who ran past her.
He ran through her.
Yeah, obliterated her, right? Just, and he's still standing there with her hands in his hands.
Oh my gosh!
And then it just goes like, and then it cuts like, and at first I was just like, what? What the hell? I can't watch this anymore. And then I stopped it and I replayed it back for Monica, and then I was laughing my off. Like, I couldn't.
That was so funny.
It was really funny. And I thought of it in like this way that it's like I was like, okay, so this show is supposed to be like raunchy in a way.
Right.
Like, is this supposed to be funny? But then I kept watching, and I'm just like, I don't really get what it's going for, and
I've heard that it does kind of flirt that line where the first, like, I haven't watched it yet, but the first time you see this stuff, it's supposed to be the trauma and the like, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. But then when they do the replay or the whatever, it's like, here's a different angle where it's like, all right, now let's have some warped laughs.
It's definitely dark humor.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy about it. Like, there's some really funny things in there.
It's okay.
It's messed up.
Well,
and it's definitely a vulgar show.
For some reason, I'm just thinking of Batman help me.
Batman help me. Johnny no. Yeah, something Monica hates. What I'll do is like I'll stick my hand in the air. I'll like. as it's like getting lower to her, like I'm gonna chop her in half with my hand, like it's like a, and she hates it so much. It's really funny for me. Like, I like to say, I'll make up songs like sometimes you gotta chop her in half, and I'm like, I'll hit her leg like a chop. Or like I'll just be like hitting it. I'm like, one day I'm gonna chop right through like the Grand Canyon. Just
like the Grand Canyon did. I'm gonna do to you.
Yes, dude, exactly. Oh my god, I wish you were there now. I'll just invite you over and I'll chop at her and then we can make up songs.
This is what I do with my time. I'm a constructive member of society.
I can't listen.
Totally called in sick to work today to do this. Jill's just like, why did you go to work? Well, I want to go to Christian's house and
sing a song about chopping
chopping his girlfriend.
Unviolently. Day off work, lost a day's pay, bought a train ticket.
In fact, I lost money.
Yeah, a decent amount. Oh man.
Yeah,
she puts up with a lot.
It's so funny though at times when there's certain things that are just for some reason like really, really funny to you, and like your partner or other friends or other people just don't get it.
Yeah, like a lot of things I say or do are really funny to me, but like most people, not so much.
Like I was listening to a Star Trek podcast.
He doesn't have patience for my shenanigans.
Where they were poking fun at like they were talking about the episode like the Best of Both Worlds, the one where like Picard gets taken by the Borg. But then earlier in the episode there's a character Shelby who's like gunning for Riker's job. And then they just ran with it where it's like Riker just becomes like a real jerk about it. She like didn't call up for the communicator, like communicate to him. He's like, oh, do you know what this thing is? Do you know what this does? Like, hey, Data, Geordi, Shelby doesn't know what a communicator is. Just like dress her down like that. But then they kept going with it where throughout the episode, just like even at the most inappropriate times where like the Borg are communicating with the Enterprise and Riker's just like, hey Shelby, you know what this thing does?
Super petty the whole thing.
I'm like laughing hysterically. And then as I'm telling Jill, I'm laughing hysterically and she's just like, I'm glad that's really funny for you. But like not in a condescending way. She's just like, I'm like genuinely like, oh, you'd find that hilarious. I'm like, it is hilarious. But just
that's cute. Yeah.
The different humor, or
but she likes that you like it, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
I took this. So Monica's 30th birthday was the other week, and
didn't invite me to the party.
There was no party. So it's all one big room.
All one big room.
Yeah. So.
You didn't tell me?
No, obviously I didn't tell you. Otherwise you would have been there.
Monica and I are very close.
That's not true.
I tried to go to her concert.
But you
didn't tell me where it was.
Mike's just like, I went into every bar in a certain area hoping.
Fair enough. Okay, so
Monica here.
It was her birthday the other week, and she didn't turn 30. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the chunk chart. So like it's like an obesity chart for cats. And it got famous because there's this picture of a vet showing an obese cat this fat cat chart, like this is you, like you're this, right? And so then someone made the chonk chart, and it's like, you know, chonky, super chonk, you know, all, and like the highest is, oh loud he coming, right? So I made her this cake where I cut out like two of the dumbest looking obese cats that I found on the internet. Like it's so ridiculous. And I stuck them into the sides of the cake, and on the cake it said, oh loud she 30. And I got that for her. And she loved it. It was awesome. I posted it on Reddit, and I got 23,000 upvotes.
Nice, man.
Yeah, dude. I was on front page. I got a gold for it.
Awesome.
It was pretty sweet. A lot of people were like, 30, you know, throw her out. And so
wow.
And then they're like, 30, like, she's your girlfriend? I'm like, come on, man. Like, I'm still here, right? Like, what does it matter if I'm married to her? Like, I don't know. I don't know, we were talking about that, though. It's weird.
Wait, talking about
marriage?
Marriage?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
What about me?
What about you? Okay.
This doesn't involve you, Mike.
Exactly. It
This is the exact thing with which I take issue.
I demand to be a part of this.
It's a part of your union. I'm an equal part in this relationship.
Oh, man.
Yeah, maybe one day. We'll see. I don't know about kids.
One
what are you
day,
thinking?
one day it can be in.
I mean, listen, he did that to me. That wasn't my fault.
There's a number of bleeps in this already.
Make them shorter bleeps, though, man.
Bleep, I wasn't talking anything dirty.
No, I said the B word.
Yep. Yes, that's what he said.
That B word, yes.
I hear you say
What's the other B word?
Stop
saying that.
We're not doing this again. And just so you know, it's not me making it a certain length. I just put it like the sound. You just put it over the length of the word, and then it just auto assigns.
That's weird. You gotta let me edit your podcast. Give it to me.
I refuse.
It'll save you so much time. I'm not gonna say like this is it and then upload it. I'll give it back to you and you'll be like, oh,
I know.
And I'm like, all right.
I might actually. I legit might take you up on that.
Yeah, I'm not here. I don't want to control anything, man. I just want to help.
Oh no, I know. Dude.
Yeah,
I know.
dude. It's your podcast.
I know. And at some point, I'll help you with yours in the sense of I don't know how I'd help.
Yeah, why don't you start one? It'd be so convenient. I could just roll over to your place and we can record.
Yeah,
Mike would never be a guest here.
I still would, just obviously not as well. It's not like I do it often anyway. So
For a while, you did, because I'm going through old episodes to add them to the YouTube channel, and I was like, oh man, there was like a month where we had like 4 or 6. But we'd also record multiple episodes on the same day.
Yeah, we would. Yeah.
Oh, I like listening to the ones with you guys. I was like, oh, that's cool. I couldn't be there, but that's cool.
Well, we did 2 over Skype, but there's a better way to do that.
We should Skype sometime.
Yeah.
I was saying to Monica, I was like, I want to start FaceTiming people more. I had a really good FaceTime with Chris.
Yeah. And then after that FaceTime, my phone auto-installed FaceTime.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's like, I tried to reinstall it the other day, and it's like, you must manually do this. I'm like, alright, friggin'.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. I'll do it later. But yeah, no, that was a great phone call, just randomly.
Yeah.
Where I was like, man, this reminded me of when we were kids. Like, that was a lot, like, because in 8th grade, we'd randomly, even though you lived down the street from me, or just over on Dawes, like a 10-minute walk away. Just be like, alright, I'm going to call you. We'll talk on the phone for like an hour.
Yeah, man.
What'd you do? Since I got home? Since it's like 10 minutes ago? Yeah, not much.
The time's just been creeping by. It's so weird how time starts moving fast. Everybody knows that it happens and why it happens, but it sucks. It sucks so much.
That time changes?
You're talking about relativity?
Yeah, dude. I can't remember anything anymore. I don't. It's like I'm on autopilot all the time.
The second conversation I've had about this in the last couple of days, that my memory is gone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember anything.
Like I don't know what it is. At first I thought it was the chronic use.
The chronic.
The chronic use, yeah.
And then I was like, maybe it's like the chronic stress. And
maybe it's a mix of the two.
Maybe it's the two, right? But now that Mike's saying this, because are you stressed out?
I'm not stressed. No.
I don't see stress.
I'm wondering if it's the medication I'm on, or if it's just
getting older. This is what happens, and nobody talked about it before.
I don't know.
Is that possible though?
That's panic inducing if this hits at 30, like 30, 32.
That's what I'm like. I'm like, dude, if this is me now, I can't go another. Like, what am I going to be in another years? I'm not going to be able to function. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's scary.
I feel like it started to hit me when I was about 28, but only in my relationship. I wouldn't remember anything about her.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, sometimes Monica brings something, and I'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna take your word for it.
I could tell stories in like minute detail about things that had happened years and years ago. But if you told me that like we had something to attend on Friday, what?
Correct.
See, like I feel like I've got a good memory, but it's only recently that I've gotten a good idea of time. I think because I've become aware of how insanely fast it flies by. Mm-hmm. Even when it feels like it's dragging, like the past 5.5 months, but suddenly I'm like, it's been 5.5 months. Like October starts Tuesday.
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of summer, I was like, can't wait till this is over, and it seemed to happen pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It worked out in your favor.
It did. It really did this time. I hate the summer. Hate it.
No. Well, even as you guys were coming over today, I was like, wow, how long has it been? And it's like, all right, well, the podcast we recorded in one day, but it was split up into 3 parts. But most of the time, there's like a year between it when we do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow, it's only been a couple months.
Yeah, when did we come up? August?
July.
July. There's a song.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
There's a song called July, July by the Decemberists.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very good track. I would recommend anybody listening to listen to that song by the Decemberists. July, July.
They were also on Parks and Rec.
They were.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
Oh, that show. I
So
love
funny.
that show.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
I'm a fan. You guys should play video games more. Let me type into video games. You know, some good superhero video games.
I just sold all my systems.
See, that's the thing.
Except for my PS3.
The only forward to play Spider-Man.
The only
My N64. I'm not getting rid of my N64.
The only games I ever play are games that just are like in my interest zone.
Yeah.
Where, like Spider-Man. Spider-Man was excellent. I can't wait for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a rumor of a new Arkham game where I'm like, heck yeah, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Because Arkham Knight wasn't my favorite, just because it forced the Batmobile / Bat Tank missions. Where at one point I'm like, I get why you're doing this because you couldn't do it before.
Yeah.
But when one of your final side mission fights is against Deathstroke and you're Batman and you can have an amazing fight, and you had an amazing fight in Arkham Origins,
and all you're doing is fighting his tanks and
exactly, and then he jumps out and you punch him in the face and that's it. Like that's annoying.
Yeah.
Or where it's like you have to creep around as a tank, where I'm like, tanks don't stealthily creep around. This makes no sense. I am Batman. I stealthily creep around. I am the Knight.
That one, I mean, I think the second one's probably the best, right?
Yeah, City was outstanding.
Yeah.
I remember because Mike and I started playing them at the same time, and then both of us were like, I gotta take a break from this for a week, because the Batman quotes are seeping in, and like looking at gargoyles and be like, I can grapple that guy.
I kept wanting to grapple hook things.
It was like after playing Just Cause 2 for so long, where I'm looking at that gas tank, like I could blow that up to take out that guy.
Well, I could hook onto that plane.
They got Just Cause 4. I have Just Cause 4.
Yeah.
It's pricey.
I played Just Cause 3 and it was a lot of fun. I just never got to Just Cause 4 because when it came out, it was like $80.
Oh yeah, they got tornadoes and all this stuff, dude. It's pretty badass.
I'm just... That's the constant throwback to the original.
I'll say it once every time.
Yeah, that's your Alan.
Alan. Yeah.
Jurassic
Oh,
Park
you want
was
to go
so-
out there?
Stop with the
You got
dinosaurs.
pee-pee?
Nobody cares about dinosaurs.
That's not
Everyone
remotely
cares
true.
I love dinosaurs.
Stop talking about the sun. Stop talking about the sun.
That was actually something someone pointed out with Parks and Rec. There was it might have been something like a Watch Mojo video where they do the comparisons.
Yeah.
Stuff where it was like Parks and Rec versus The Office or whatever, because some of the same people who developed the American Office developed Parks and Rec.
Michael Schur.
Yeah, Mose.
Yeah.
But Parks and Rec, The Office, what I'll give it credit for over Parks and Rec is it at least had a reason for the documentary feel. Parks and Rec, like, never a hint, nothing.
And then sometimes
So
they'll
it's
look
just
at
like,
the camera too. They'll be
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And it's just like, why?
who is that?
I mean, on Arrested Development, they got away with it where it's like, okay, it's shot like a documentary, but it's never anybody looking to the camera. It's just, what's his name? Michael. I almost said Fassbender, but
You talking about the actor or the character?
I know the actor's named Michael, but Jason Bateman. Yeah, Jason Bateman had the most hilarious like reaction shots, but he never like gymmed at the camera or anything.
Yeah.
Whereas in Parks and Rec or even Modern Family, it's all done in the documentary style, but you're like, why? Who's documenting this? Like,
Yeah.
in The Office, they at least addressed it at points where it's
Yeah.
like, so why are you like, where are we going with this? And then the ninth season, they really went with it because it's like, we're finishing up.
I think it can be used. I think what eventually happens is it becomes more of a hindrance, because if you have to address it, then look at what happened with The Office. Like the whole last half of the last season or something was just them sort of addressing the fact that it is being filmed and all that stuff.
See, I really dig the 9th season of The Office, though. Like,
well, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying the fact that they had to address it, because if they're going to address it, like if you're of the mind that it needs to be addressed, then it's a huge it's potentially a huge undertaking, right?
Yeah, I think the show figured out how to do it because they involved the Boom Man guy a little too much.
But then Andy becomes famous and stuff like that.
Right, but then some of that stuff really lent it to comedy, or when they all realized, like through some of the promos, how much they had been filmed and how they had no privacy whatsoever. I'm like, that was a really good, like that part's really, really good.
They did it eloquently, the way they brought that in. But like, I don't know, man. It just seems like in other shows, if you're gonna do that with every show, and you're gonna have to have a moment to be like, oh, they're filming this, eventually it's gonna be released or something like that. And it's just like, who cares, man? It's like, that's cumbersome to the story. Let's get back to like these characters.
And I totally get that. It's just at the same. I guess the difficulty thing though is as you're filming it like this, and you're like, all right, this is the narrative. They're doing it like this. There's voiceover summations. There's talking heads. But then when you're like, but within the world of the show, this isn't a documentary. So you're just having people narrate and doing talking heads to no one.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we just assume
that's where it gets kind of weird.
We assume that it is being filmed, and that is the release. We're not watching.
Right.
Yeah. So we're just watching it literally is in and of itself just a documentary, right?
That's fair.
Yeah. So if anything, The Office is the one that's weird because it was like a third documentary. Like now you're watching the documentary, like the guy, the film crew. It's like, wait, what's going on, man? Who's filming the filmers?
It's Inception.
Yeah, it's Inception itself. It's ridiculous.
Docceptioned.
Like, what are you doing?
I'm making sure Luna's alright.
What?
He's trying to escape.
You should participate more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In this, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm talking too much.
No, you're not.
I'm going to end up saying things I regret.
Talk about things I know about.
Well, what is that, Mike? That's very limited. I'm sorry. That's like the meanest thing I've said to you.
No more, idiot.
Aww.
Come on.
What? We'll grab this before she gets 8. What? Nothing
it's... I ended up on the most recent episode talking about a good documentary that I watched about Star Trek DS9, and then my joke is all, like with you guys and recently has been like, I don't like watching documentaries. I got enough of life sucking in my job. I got enough of that. I like to be entertained. But there are some good documentaries, but there's also been some terrible ones, i.e. anything by Michael Moore. Mike, you've done filmmaking and stuff.
I have.
What would you...
I have done films.
I've done film. What would you say goes into a good documentary?
I mean, there's always going to be bias, but try to just present it as is, whatever the subject is. Try to tap into some sort of emotion, which can get dicey if you're trying to stay unbiased. Make sure you're presenting fact as fact and not assumptions or total falsehoods as fact. It has to be engaging. You can't just be plodding along. Who cares? And it's interesting because choose a topic that is completely off the wall, because you'd be surprised how interesting it is. There's some documentaries where you hear about the subject matter like yarn. How could that be interesting? But they're the craziest ones.
Well, there's the Netflix documentary series like The Toys That Made Us.
Yeah.
That I like action figures and stuff, but at first I was like, I don't know if I want to watch that.
Yeah.
There was a Star Wars documentary about toys before.
Yeah.
I got like 5 minutes in, I'm like, this is incredibly boring.
Yeah.
But then The Toys That Made Us, I'm like, no, it's really well done. Mm-hmm. I'll watch them do an episode about friggin' I never cared for G.I. Joe, but that was a good episode.
Uh-huh.
I imagine a yarn documentary about like the yarn mafia in Deutschland or something.
You know what it was? I saw this. I didn't actually watch the documentary. I saw the title on whatever service it was, And it was like the most mundane topic, and it was supposed to be like this fantastic 5-star documentary. I forget what it was though, but that goes to show you like things you wouldn't even think would be interesting, or
right,
can be very interesting.
On a side note, hey Darko, just saw his message.
Say hi to Chris for me.
Oh wait.
Oh wait.
To be fair, at one point I called Darko. I called his home number, and I was like, "Hey, where are you?"
Where are you? That was before cell phones.
Yeah.
Or like.
Still, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
Oh, if he, I wonder if he'll listen to this. Well, if he does, I want to apologize for leaving. Mike and I would like to apologize for leaving Darkness Barbecue so early, because we like him.
I guess.
I was tired.
Yeah, no.
I think you were tired too, right?
Darko and Tommy, we miss you guys.
Tired of Darko.
Mike.
This is why I took the lead.
Yeah, I think. And my glasses had fallen off the roof.
Yeah.
Oh
There's that whole debacle.
But I ran down and the glasses weren't there. And it turns out the kind security guard had brought them up.
I couldn't even make it in that night. I just remembered I was texting Christian and Mike so many Godzilla gifts.
Oh,
just
I finally saw, what's it called? King of the Monsters?
Yeah.
It was enjoyable.
It's so good.
I want to see so many Godzilla movies. I didn't know there were so many.
Oh, dude, there's like
70,000 of them.
Yeah,
there's like 33. At some point, after doing the deep dive on Power Rangers, I was like, I'm going to do a deep dive on Godzilla.
That was a really good one, dude.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But then I've also realized, like, each Godzilla episode I've done has been borderline a deep dive, but I'll do it again. I'll do a deeper dive.
Dude, that got me so into Godzilla. I went and I watched YouTube. Like, I watched these videos about these guys talking about, like, oh, the biggest Godzilla to, like, the 10th biggest Godzilla.
Yeah, no. There was a great video where it was the... there's a couple of fun videos where it's, like, the evolution of Godzilla's look per movie, or also what each atomic breath looked like.
What was the movie where it came out like a salamander and it kept evolving throughout the movie?
That's a Pokemon movie.
No, that's Shin Godzilla. That is
Pokemon.
That's Pokemon.
That's Shin Godzilla, where it at first it's like the first time you see it, it's just the tail.
Yeah.
And you're like, is that a friggin' giant eel or something? But you never see a face. When it makes landfall, they based it loosely on like a frill shark, but also had like stumpy legs, but with like long feet, and it's just like
I just remember watching the footage. It's like pushing itself through the building.
Yeah,
so you can't really walk.
Where it looked really, really good, but then someone also pointed out like it had borderline googly eyes, and I'm like, oh man, like it does, but it doesn't. But what those films still show is what you can do with a budget. Like the Japanese film industry does not have the budget of the American film industry, but Shin Godzilla, especially in particular, looks spectacular.
Yeah,
there's very few times where the budget shows in the special effects, and some of the special effects are better than they are in the multi-million budget like North American films.
Yeah, it's bloated and spoiled. I don't think they're making enough use of the money, or like other countries that don't usually see that kind of money or investment, they would probably do a lot better job.
Yeah, where it's with budget in film, it's interesting where Godzilla, the 2014 one, I still love that movie, but it really took like the Jaws approach, where it's like you just get teases of Godzilla here and there, and then it's saved towards the end. But then in Godzilla King of the Monsters, they just went all friggin' out. Like, you're getting glory shots of Ghidorah, like, all over the place, which is what I was so excited for. And it's an awesome movie. Like, you can make arguments that the plot gets dumb at some point, but, like, I'm here to watch monsters throw down.
The premise itself.
Like, Godzilla can lend itself to, like, a really good story with, like, deep metaphor. The original did that. You get that out of Shin Godzilla, and to a lesser extent, Godzilla 1984. But those are at this point, like, those are the exception, not the rule. When you're watching Godzilla, you're there for, like, maybe some message, but you're there to watch monsters throw down, and increasingly, like, in fun ways. And the glory shots of the monsters fighting, like, peppered throughout the whole movie. Like, you could have the dumbest character in here, I won't care. Like, it's not pointing a gun and shooting a dinosaur level stupid. So,
yeah, the monsters are the stars. Right?
exactly.
It's all about the monsters.
What was I going to say? Yeah, the people are like, I didn't care for Godzilla. It's not realistic. Are you serious?
Yeah. Well, that was anytime I saw a critic being like, "There's too many monsters and not enough humans," I'm like, "Did you watch the trailer?"
You know how many movies you can watch with humans, exclusively humans?
How many movies do you see with 3-headed pterodactyl things?
And you want to see more humans?
Gosh.
What was this person's occupation? Just out of curiosity.
Film critic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh man.
I don't understand like critics or anything, reviewers. It's like, why would you listen to one person's opinion on anything?
Well, like I like film critics, but I don't like what it's almost become.
Well, they're always opinions. It's like you can't have a definitive opinion.
Right.
You can be like, I am so knowledgeable in this world that I can tell you like the objectively, like if we have rules of filmmaking or what is generally considered to be, you know,
right.
Maybe you could like, but still, like a lot of critics don't take that approach. They don't educate you.
No. Well, and that's where I like stuff like I've referenced before, Jeremy Johns or Screen Junkies, the guy on there, Dan Murrell. When they do film reviews, it's like, all right, most of the time you can articulate your point well, like why you don't like it, and you explain really well what's good about it. So even if I disagree with you, you're not being like, if you like this, you're stupid. Where so much with film criticism, or borderline any criticism these days, is as soon as someone's like criticized this, like, all right, who can get in the best slam? It's like, this isn't a rap battle, guys. It's not who can diss the hardest. It's.
Well, I saw that Joker got a lot of flack. A lot of people, and I'm saying to Mike, a lot of people are saying it's like, oh, it's like an incel's wet dream, sort of, right? And I get like what they're talking about, like I get it, right? But you know, I mean, that's a lot of people's stories, but they don't turn into incels, right?
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie about a fictitious character where they're like, all right, let's do a character study out of this, where it's a portion of the character, and there's a lot of good story there, but so many terrible and good people have characteristics of fictitious characters, where it's at the end of the day, it's like, look, this isn't a documentary. This isn't trying to be like, hey, do what he does.
Yeah. Well, they're already saying that they've arrested people who are talking about imitating the movie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, you're gonna get that with any movie.
Well, even back when The Dark Knight Rises, some guy tried to dress up as Bane and like shoot up a theater.
Some guy did.
Did. Sorry,
yeah.
But did he dress up as Bane?
Batman.
Oh, okay. It's all terrible, but I don't think you can blame the art for that.
No, man, don't blame the movie. I mean, it sucks because you have these you know, that are going around blaming other people for the fact that they are, to quote Mike, and yeah, the movie has to suffer. You know, I mean, you just say that's the plot, the plight of any mentally ill, poor working class person in the cities, you know, or stuff like that, right? Like, I mean, his story is one of like any person who feels like they're powerless to control their own fate or anything like that,
right? And
then they take that into their hands and they take down the evil of the people who are, you know, controlling the circumstances under which they're not, you know, like.
and that's kind of like a common theme in comics, and they visited it in Daredevil season 2, where like Punisher was showing up and like he's grilling Daredevil about their different methods, and then he's just like, you're just one bad day away from being me.
Yeah. And
then in The Killing Joke, it was just like, it was one bad day that just landslided this character.
Wait, The Killing Joke, is that like an origins for Joker?
Yeah. The only thing that kind of became canon from it was him shooting Barbara.
Yeah.
It is a great dark comic, but it was originally the idea of it's an Elseworld story, because in main continuity, the Joker does not have a dead set origin.
That I really don't like.
That's actually something I like a lot, And I loved that they adapted that in The Dark Knight, where every time he was telling the story about how he got the scars, it was different. Like, that was a good nod to it.
To speak to that specific example,
right?
I didn't like that because they play the exact same music it's like, as soon as you hear the music kicking, it's like, oh, he's about to do one of his little stories.
No, and that's fair.
That annoyed me, Chris.
All right, that's fair.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
All right. It was a bad decision on your part to put that in the movie.
I didn't put it in the movie.
I didn't produce the movie.
I'm not Nolan. So I haven't gone up my own butt with my movies yet.
But I mean, to speak to that, I don't like the fact that they can't. I mean, to me, it's lazy to not be like, this is how the character is created. And I get like it's Joker, so it's almost like to give Joker an actual origin story would be to diminish the legend.
I think
right?
that's mystique. That's something I really enjoyed about the character though, and how they did it in The Dark Knight, because when you did it in the Batman show, he had a definitive origin. In the Tim Burton Batman movie, he had a definitive origin where he also stupidly killed Bruce Wayne's parents, which was dumb.
Yeah.
And Alfred let Vicky Vale into the back.
Yeah. I was like, hey Vic, come on in.
Crappy Alfred.
And we're just going down the Batman trail. But I like the Joker not having a definitive origin, because then it's the idea of it could be anyone. It's not just like, the more you get into the origin of how it's this one particular guy, it can take away from that idea of the one bad day. Where, as you're saying, like, this is so many people, it could be anyone. Chris. It's not just this one person and their one situation.
Yeah, that phrase, one bad day.
Yeah.
That right there, man, that could be the basis for a movie or something, right? One bad day. Like Falling Down or Taxi Driver. But more so Falling Down.
Okay, here's the question for you regarding Killing Joke.
Okay.
In the end, did Batman kill the Joker?
I do not think so. A number of people have also, like, you can make the argument both ways.
They don't even...
No, they don't
ambiguous.
actually... It's deliberately ambiguous.
I need to say
but I think even Alan Moore, who's like the world's grumpiest man, was like, no, I didn't have Batman kill the Joker. But it's ambiguous enough where it's like the idea of Batman laughed and then broke his neck. People have made that the argument that the book did that. I don't think they did.
I think it's suggested more in the animated movie version.
Yeah, well, just like in the book and then in the animated movie, a number of people were like, Joker raped Barbara. There's nothing in the book that suggests that. Like assault, definitely. Like he took a lot of horrific pictures of her naked and showed it to Jim. But there was nothing there suggesting that he raped her. But then a number of people have tried to make the argument since they came out, like, no, he definitely did that. Where there's nothing concrete in there.
Yeah, he probably right. Like, does he look like a guy that's sexually active? Not to me.
No, not really.
No.
Well,
I think that's maybe why he's insane.
But that was something I actually really appreciated about Jared Leto's version of the Joker, which.
Chris.
What? No. The thing I appreciated that he brought to the role that hadn't been shown on film yet, like it has been visited in the comics, is he did bring a sexuality to the character that is there, that just hadn't been shown on film. The look of the character sucked.
Yeah.
And apparently his behavior on set sucked. Where it's like, oh, I'm a method actor. Don't be a jerk. But I found his bringing that aspect to the character. I was like, all right, I can roll with that. I respect that.
The dialogue sucked.
Oh yeah, but that's not the actor's fault.
No, I mean, to me, I think a lot of the things that were wrong with it weren't necessarily his fault.
Yeah, or anyone on set's fault except for the writer.
Yeah, that
the
movie
production
was so stylized. Like everyone just seemed like a caricature, not a character.
Except weirdly enough, except for Jai Courtney, who was awesome as Captain Boomerang.
Captain Boomerang, not memorable to me.
It was memorable in the fact that it wasn't like, oh gosh, I'm watching Jai Courtney It was like, oh wow, I'm actually enjoying this.
Usually the reaction.
I know.
Oh, I'm watching Jack Court.
It's like, I feel bad for the guy because it was like he's going to be the next big thing. Where it's like, oh no.
Stop trying to make Jai Courtney a thing.
Well, it's
never gonna happen.
Well, that also almost like Heath Ledger. Around the time he did that movie where it was the We Will Rock You. No, not that, but
Knight's Tale?
Yeah, Knight's Tale. Where it was like, he's like, the studio wanted me to sign a 9-picture deal, and they're like, you've got charisma, we're going to make you the next big thing. And he's like, no, I just kind of want to act. Like, he deliberately said no and then started choosing smaller roles and all that.
What the heck?
What?
Somebody took my cake, put it on their Instagram.
Yep.
That'll happen. What do you want?
Welcome to the internet.
What the heck? Why could she? So someone, yeah.
Report them.
I don't even have Instagram.
Okay.
Hey, Luna.
Luna saw someone. She just barks when she sees people.
All right.
All right. Well, I actually think this is a good point to wrap it.
Are we wrapping?
Yeah, we are wrapping.
Okay, good.
All right. Well, dear listener, thank you for listening, guys. Thank you for joining today, especially as we really were spitballing.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. Usually we go for longer.
Yeah.
How long have we been doing this? It's only been like an hour.
An hour and 16 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad. All right.
That's a sprint for us.
I know.
Yeah.
Next time it'll be longer.
Yeah,
This will
we
be
won't come out so late.
This will be our first single episode in like a year and a half.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because most of the time with you guys, you dudes are the ones where I'm like, oh, you're my first 2-parter, and then my first 3-parter. Totally spit on my hand as I said that.
It's fine.
All right, well, dear listener, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of One Cross Radio, and hope you have a wonderful day. God bless, and take care, my friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.